In the heart of a vast forest, where the trees whispered ancient secrets and the animals roamed free, there dwelled a proud lion named Leo. Leo was the king of the forest, his roar echoing through the trees and striking fear into the hearts of all who heard it. But despite his strength and power, Leo was also wise and fair, ruling over his kingdom with justice and compassion. He believed in sharing with his fellow creatures and ensuring that all were treated with respect and kindness. One day, as Leo lounged beneath the shade of a mighty oak tree, his subjects approached him with a request. They had discovered a bountiful feast of fruits and berries growing on the far side of the forest, and they wished to partake in the bounty. Leo listened to their plea with a wise and patient ear, nodding thoughtfully as they spoke. And then, with a regal gesture, he granted their request, declaring that the feast would be shared among all who dwelled in the forest. But as the animals made their way to the feast, a sly fox named Felix watched from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with greed and envy. He knew that the lion's share of the feast would be the choicest and most delicious fruits, and he coveted them for himself. Determined to claim the lion's share for himself, Felix devised a cunning plan. He approached Leo with a false smile on his lips and flattery in his voice, praising the lion's wisdom and generosity. "Surely, Almighty Leo," Felix said, "such a wise and noble ruler deserves the lion's share of the feast. It is only fitting that you should enjoy the finest fruits and berries, while the rest of us partake of what remains." Leo considered Felix's words for a moment, his brow furrowed in thought. And then, with a knowing smile, he shook his head and replied, "My friend, you are mistaken. The lion's share is not about hoarding the best for oneself, but about ensuring that all are treated fairly and justly." And with that, Leo led the animals to the feast, where they shared in the bounty together, each enjoying their fill of the delicious fruits and berries. And though Felix grumbled and complained, he could not deny the wisdom of Leo's words, and he joined in the feast with the rest of the forest creatures. From that day forth, the animals of the forest lived in harmony and peace, sharing in the bounty of the land and treating one another with kindness and respect. And though there were many more feasts to come, they always remembered the lesson of the lion's share and the wisdom of their noble king. In a kingdom where the chill of winter hung heavy in the air and the trees stood bare against the gray sky, there ruled a lion of great strength and wisdom named Leonidas. His mane, once golden and fierce, now bore traces of silver, a testament to the passage of time and the weight of his responsibilities. Leonidas had ruled over his kingdom with fairness and compassion for many years, but as the years wore on, the harshness of winter seemed to seep into his bones, leaving him weary and longing for the warmth of days gone by. One winter's eve, as the frost crept across the land and the castle walls groaned with the weight of snow, Leonidas summoned his advisors to counsel him on matters of state. Yet, as they gathered around the hearth, their voices filled with worrying and doubt, Leonidas found himself yearning for something more. In the quiet moments between council meetings and courtly affairs, Leonidas found solace in the company of his youngest daughter. Her laughter was like a ray of sunshine cutting through the winter gloom, and her spirit was as fierce and untamed as the lion's roar. Together, Leonidas and Lyra would roam the halls of the castle, their footsteps echoing off the stone walls as they shared tales of distant lands and daring adventures. In Lyra, Leonidas saw a spark of hope and resilience that reignited the fire within his heart. As winter tightened its grip upon the kingdom and the days grew shorter, Leonidas and Lyra found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. A neighboring kingdom, emboldened by the cold embrace of winter, sought to challenge Leonidas's rule and claim his lands as their own. Faced with the prospect of war and uncertainty, Leonidas turned to Lyra for guidance, her youthful wisdom offering him a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Together, they devised a plan to unite their allies and stand firm against their enemies, their bond as father and daughter serving as their greatest strength. And so, as the first buds of spring began to peek through the frost-covered earth, Leonidas led his army into battle, his heart filled with courage and determination. With Lyra by his side, He faced his enemies with a fierceness that belied his age, driving them back and securing victory for his kingdom. As the sun set on the battlefield and the first flowers of spring bloomed in the castle gardens, Leonidas knew that the true victory lay not in the spoils of war, but in the bond he shared with his daughter. For even in the darkest of winters, love and courage could conquer all. In the heart of the African savanna, where the sun painted the sky in shades of gold and the grass whispered secrets to the wind, there lived a wise lion named Simba and a cunning jackal named Django. Despite their differences in size and strength, they shared a mutual respect for each other's wit and cunning. One day, as Simba lay beneath the shade of a towering baobab tree, pondering the mysteries of the world, Django approached him with a proposal. "My dear Simba," said Django with a sly grin, "I have heard of a great feast taking place in the neighboring village. Surely, as the king of the savannah, you deserve the lion's share of the bounty." Intrigued by the prospect of a feast, Simba agreed to accompany Django to the village, his curiosity piqued by the jackal's words. Together, they set out on their journey, traversing the vast plains and crossing rivers teeming with life. As they neared the village, Django instructed Simba to hide in the bushes while he approached the villagers, pretending to be a lost and hungry traveler. With his silver tongue and quick wit, Django convinced the villagers to invite him to their feast, promising them riches and rewards in return. Meanwhile, hidden from view, Simba watched as Django devoured the feast with gusto, his belly bulging with food and his laughter echoing through the night. And though he felt a pang of envy at the sight, Simba remained patient, knowing that his time would come. When the feast had ended and the villagers had retired for the night, Django returned to Simba's side, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Well, my friend," he said with a smug grin, "did I not promise you the lion's share of the feast?" But Simba merely shook his head and replied, "No, Django, what you have taken is not the lion's share, but the jackal's share, a small portion gained through deceit and cunning. The true lion's share is earned through honesty, courage, and integrity." With those words, Simba turned and walked away, leaving Django to ponder the wisdom of his words. And though the jackal may have feasted that night, it was Simba who had earned the respect and admiration of all who knew his tale, a king among beasts, whose strength lay not in his claws, but in his noble heart and steadfast integrity. Once upon a time, in a lush forest, there dwelled a magnificent lion known as Leo, whose roar could be heard echoing through the trees for miles around. Leo ruled over the forest with grace and strength, and all the creatures, big and small, respected him. One sunny day, as Leo was taking a leisurely stroll through his kingdom, he spotted a tiny mouse scurrying along the forest floor. Amused by the little creature's haste, Leo decided to play a trick on it. With a swift paw, he caught the mouse and held it firmly between his claws. "Please, mighty Leo, spare my life," squeaked the mouse, trembling with fear. "I promise I will repay your kindness one day if you let me go." Leo chuckled at the mouse's audacity but decided to grant its request. With a flick of his paw, he released the trembling creature, amused by its promise. Months passed, and one day, Leo found himself trapped in a hunter's net. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free from the sturdy ropes that bound him. His mighty roars echoed through the forest, but no one came to his rescue. Just when Leo thought all hope was lost, he heard a familiar squeak. It was the little mouse, who had not forgotten the lion's act of mercy. With determination shining in its eyes, the mouse gnawed through the ropes, setting Leo free. Grateful beyond words, Leo thanked the mouse and apologized for underestimating its worth. From that day on, Leo and the mouse became the best of friends, their bond a testament to the power of kindness and the importance of never judging others by their size. And so, in the forest of Leo's kingdom, it was said that even the smallest creature could make the biggest difference, for in the end, It is not strength alone that defines greatness, but the kindness and compassion in one's heart. In the heart of the African savanna, where the sun painted the sky in shades of gold and the grass whispered secrets to the wind, there lived a wise lion named Simba and a cunning jackal named Django. Despite their differences in size and strength, they shared a mutual respect for each other's wit and cunning. One day, as Simba lay beneath the shade of a towering baobab tree, pondering the mysteries of the world, Django approached him with a proposal. "My dear Simba," said Django with a sly grin, "I have heard of a great feast taking place in the neighboring village. Surely, as the king of the savannah, you deserve the lion's share of the bounty." Intrigued by the prospect of a feast, Simba agreed to accompany Django to the village, his curiosity piqued by the jackal's words. Together, they set out on their journey, traversing the vast plains and crossing rivers teeming with life. As they neared the village, Django instructed Simba to hide in the bushes while he approached the villagers, pretending to be a lost and hungry traveler. With his silver tongue and quick wit, Django convinced the villagers to invite him to their feast, promising them riches and rewards in return. Meanwhile, hidden from view, Simba watched as Django devoured the feast with gusto, his belly bulging with food and his laughter echoing through the night. And though he felt a pang of envy at the sight, Simba remained patient, knowing that his time would come. When the feast had ended and the villagers had retired for the night, Django returned to Simba's side, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Well, my friend," he said with a smug grin, "did I not promise you the lion's share of the feast?" But Simba merely shook his head and replied, "No, Django, what you have taken is not the lion's share, but the jackals share a small portion gained through deceit and cunning. The true lion's share is earned through honesty, courage, and integrity." With those words, Simba turned and walked away, leaving Django to ponder the wisdom of his words. And though the jackal may have feasted that night, it was Simba who had earned the respect and admiration of all who knew his tale, a king among beasts, whose strength lay not in his claws, but in his noble heart and steadfast integrity. Once upon a time, in a peaceful kingdom where the sun painted the sky with hues of gold and crimson, there dwelled a gentle lamb named Elijah. His fleece was as white as freshly fallen snow, and his eyes sparkled with innocence and kindness. Elijah roamed the meadows, grazing on tender grass and basking in the warmth of the sun. He was beloved by all creatures of the kingdom, for his gentle nature knew no bounds. Yet, beyond the borders of the kingdom lay a dark and treacherous forest, where a fierce lion named Malachi reigned supreme. His roar echoed through the trees, striking fear into the hearts of even the bravest souls. One day, Elijah ventured into the forest in search of sweet berries that grew amidst the tangled undergrowth. Unbeknownst to him, Malachi lurked in the shadows, his golden eyes fixed upon the unsuspecting lamb. But instead of pouncing upon Elijah with claws bared and teeth gnashing, Malachi approached him with a curiosity that bordered on disbelief. Never before had he encountered a creature so gentle and pure of heart. Intrigued by Elijah's innocence, Malachi stayed his predatory instincts and spoke to the lamb in a voice as soft as the whisper of the wind. Elijah, unafraid, listened as the lion recounted tales of his struggles and triumphs, his voice tinged with a hint of longing for companionship. Moved by Malachi's loneliness, Elijah offered him friendship and companionship, extending a hoof of peace instead of fleeing in fear. And so, an unlikely bond formed between the lion and the lamb, bridging the gap between predator and prey. As days turned into weeks, Elijah and Malachi roamed the forest together, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds. Where once there was only fear and mistrust, now blossomed a friendship as pure and enduring as the morning dew. Yet, their idyllic existence was not to last, for word of their unlikely friendship reached the ears of the kingdom's inhabitants. Fearing for Elijah's safety, they beseeched him to return home, away from the dangers of the forest. Reluctantly, Elijah bid farewell to Malachi, his heart heavy with sorrow. Yet, he knew that their bond would endure, transcending the boundaries of species and circumstance. And so, the lion and the lamb remain forever entwined in the tapestry of legend, their friendship a testament to the power of love and compassion. For even in the darkest corners of the forest, light shines brightest of all. In a distant village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush forests, there lived a humble couple named Amara and Kofi. Though they had much love for each other, their home was filled with sorrow, for Amara yearned for a child to fill their lives with joy. One day, as Kofi returned from the market, he stumbled upon an old, wise woman sitting beneath the shade of a baobab tree. Sensing his troubled heart, the woman beckoned him closer and offered him a small, shimmering whisker from the mane of a majestic lion. "This whisker," she said, "holds the power to grant your deepest desires. But beware, for its magic comes with a price." Kofi, desperate to bring happiness to his beloved wife, accepted the whisker with gratitude and hurried home to Amara. Together, they marveled at its beauty and wondered at the possibilities it held. With the whisker in hand, Amara set about preparing a stew for their evening meal. As the savory aroma filled the air, Kofi watched with anticipation, eager to see the magic of the whisker unfold. But as they sat down to eat, Amara's heart sank, for she knew that without a child to share their meal, their home would still be filled with emptiness. "Perhaps," she said, her voice trembling with sadness, "if I were to have a child, our happiness would be complete." With a heavy heart, Kofi revealed the secret of the whisker, and together they made a solemn vow to follow the old woman's instructions. The next day, Amara ventured deep into the forest, guided by the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves. There, she found the lion, its golden mane glistening in the sunlight, and with trembling hands, she placed the whisker upon its mighty brow. In that moment, a miracle occurred. The lion's eyes softened, and with a gentle roar, it bestowed upon Amara the gift of motherhood. Overjoyed, Amara returned home, cradling her newborn child in her arms. As the years passed, their home was filled with laughter and love, and Amara and Kofi knew that they were truly blessed. But as their child grew older, Amara began to worry. The whisker's magic had come with a warning, and she feared that one day, it would demand its price. Sure enough, as the child reached adulthood, a darkness began to creep into their heart. They became consumed by greed and envy, lashing out at those they loved and causing pain and suffering wherever they went. Realizing the danger, Amara and Kofi sought the guidance of the wise woman once more. With sorrow in her eyes, she revealed the truth of the whisker's magic. "The lion's whisker," she explained, "holds the power to grant your deepest desires, but it cannot change the nature of your heart. Only through love and forgiveness can its true magic be revealed." With heavy hearts, Amara and Kofi confronted their child, pleading with them to let go of their anger and embrace the light within. And so, through tears and laughter, the family was reunited, their bond stronger than ever before. In the end, it was not the whisker's magic that saved them, but the love and forgiveness that flowed between them, a treasure more precious than any wish could ever be. Once upon a time, in a land where the sun kissed the earth with its golden rays and the moon danced upon the velvet sky, there existed a village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush forests. In this village, there lived a beautiful maiden named Adesua, whose grace and charm rivaled the flowers in bloom. Adesua was the jewel of the village, admired by all who beheld her radiance. Yet, she harbored a secret love for the king of the jungle, the mighty lion named Adila. His mane was as golden as the sun, and his roar echoed through the valleys, striking fear into the hearts of all creatures. One day, as Adesua danced by the shimmering stream, she caught sight of Adila basking in the sunlight. His powerful form glistened with droplets of water, and his amber eyes gleamed with an untamed fire. Adisua's heart fluttered at the sight, and she longed to be near him. Determined to win the lion's affection, Adisu adorned herself in the finest garments woven from threads of gold and jewels that sparkled like stars in the night sky. With courage in her heart, she ventured into the heart of the jungle, where Adila reigned as king. As Adisu wandered through the dense foliage, she encountered various creatures who warned her of the lion's ferocity. But she paid no heed to their warnings, for her love for Adila burned brighter than the fiercest flame. Finally, she reached the lion's den, where Adila lay majestically beneath the shade of a towering baobab tree. His gaze met hers, and Adisu felt as though the entire world had fallen away, leaving only the two of them in a timeless embrace. But Adila, though intrigued by Adijua's beauty, was wary of her intentions. He had witnessed the treachery of humans before and was hesitant to trust one again. Yet, there was something about Adijua's sincerity that touched his heart. As days turned into weeks, Adisu and Adila forged a bond unlike any other. She regaled him with tales of the world beyond the jungle, while he shared with her the secrets of the wild. Together, they roamed the vast expanse of the jungle, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves and the song of birds. But their happiness was not to last, for word of Adijua's presence in the jungle reached the ears of the village elders. Fearing for her safety, they beseeched her to return home, away from the dangers of the wild. Reluctantly, Adisu bid farewell to Adila, her heart heavy with sorrow. Yet, she knew that their love would endure, transcending the boundaries of time and space. And so, the lion and the jewel remained forever entwined in the tapestry of legend, their love immortalized in the hearts of all who heard their tale. For even in the darkest depths of the jungle, love shines brightest of all. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there existed a magical wardrobe nestled within the confines of an old, grand mansion. This wardrobe was no ordinary piece of furniture. It held within its depths a gateway to another world, a world filled with wonder and enchantment. In this world, there ruled a powerful and wicked witch who had cast a spell of eternal winter upon the land. The inhabitants of this world lived in fear, their hearts chilled by the icy grip of the witch's magic. One day, four siblings stumbled upon the wardrobe while exploring the mansion. Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, curious and adventurous, pushed aside the coats and stepped through the wardrobe's threshold, finding themselves in a snowy forest bathed in the soft light of a winter's day. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they encountered talking animals and mythical creatures, each one oppressed by the witch's tyranny. Determined to free the land from her grasp, the siblings embarked on a quest to seek out the legendary lion, Aslan, who was said to be the only one capable of defeating the witch. Along their journey, they faced trials and tribulations, testing their courage and resolve. Edmund, tempted by promises of power and glory, briefly fell under the witch's spell, but with the love and forgiveness of his siblings, he found redemption and joined their cause once more. Finally, they reached the great castle where the witch resided, its towers looming ominously against the darkened sky. With the help of Aslan and their newfound friends, the siblings launched a daring assault on the castle, facing off against the witch and her army of minions in a climactic battle of good versus evil. In the end, it was the courage and unity of the siblings that prevailed. Aslan delivered the final blow to the witch, shattering her icy throne and breaking the spell that held the land in winter's grip. With her defeat, the warmth of spring returned, and the world was reborn in beauty and splendor. With the witch vanquished and peace restored to the land, the siblings bid farewell to their newfound friends and returned home through the magical wardrobe, forever changed by their incredible adventure. And though they may have left that enchanted world behind, the lessons they learned and the bonds they forged would stay with them always, guiding them on their future journeys, wherever they may lead.